Cruel, dangerous, and shameful. The White House scolds Governor Abbott over Christmas Eve migrant drop-off in freezing temperatures. On Christmas Day, how lovely. An initial 2 busloads of migrants from Texas were taken to local shelters in Washington, D.C., according to an administration official. More buses then arrived outside Vice President Kamala Harris's residence late Saturday evening. A CNN team saw migrants being dropped off, with some migrants wearing only t-shirts in the below freezing weather. They were then given blankets and put on another bus that went to a local church. Temperatures dropped to 18 degrees Fahrenheit in DC. Amy Fischer, a volunteer with the Migrant Solidarity Mutual Aid Network, which has been receiving migrants sent to DC since the spring, said the organization had been prepared for Saturday night's arrival, having been informed about it earlier by an NGO worker working at the border in Texas. The arrivals included asylum seekers from Ecuador, Cuba, Nicaragua, Venezuela, Peru, and Colombia, according to Fischer, who told CNN the buses were supposed to go to New York, but were diverted to DC due to the weather. Busloads of migrants have been arriving in Washington weekly since April. Tatiana Laborde, SAMU First Response's managing director, the nonprofit that's responsible for assisting the migrants, released a statement. Laborde said most migrants were aware of the bus's destinations, and she said about 60% were headed to New York, either to shelters or to stay with friends and family. She described this as a pattern we've been seeing over the past couple of months. Migrants bound for New York City spent 5 days on buses after getting stuck in the winter storm. They were in disarray, including children and a pregnant woman. It was the longest ride that anyone has experienced since the buses started arriving here at the Port Authority, said Malu, who was among a group of volunteers who welcomed the migrants upon their arrival. Their legs were cramped up, hobbling, feet swollen. People were hungry, tired. Really, they were in disarray. Malu recalled that an 8.5-month pregnant woman was among the new arrivals. Luckily, we were able to get her some medical attention. The White House condemned the Texas governor after migrants were dropped off outside the VP's house. Quote, abandoned children on the side of the road in below freezing temperatures. Governor Abbott abandoned children on Christmas Eve without coordinating with any federal or local authorities. A White House representative, Abdullah Hassan, said in a statement, this was a cruel, dangerous, and shameful stunt. As we've repeatedly said, we're willing to work with anyone, Republican or Democrat alike, on real solutions, like the comprehensive immigration reform and border security measures President Biden sent to Congress on his first day in office, Hassan added. But these political games accomplish nothing and only put lives in danger. Another heartless, shameful ploy by the Texas governor, while at the same time, you do understand that their systems are overwhelmed and they have an influx of migrants that they don't know what to do with. And so some part of me understands they're trying to send a message to other parts of the country that don't suffer these consequences directly and say, let's all bear the burden. That is a point I think that has some merit. To do it in this way, to do it on Christmas Eve, to send people to sub-freezing temperatures without the proper clothing, to send people where they don't expect to go, those things are definitely wrong. And it's an issue we have to address as a country. We have not had significant immigration reform in over 30 years. And so both sides claim this is an issue that they want to tackle. The Democrats always claim the high ground on it, and they don't pull stunts like this, but at the same time, they're not getting the job done of passing any sort of meaningful reform. Jackson, I'm curious your take on this.
Well, it's one of the interesting things just in terms of how politics works, when we have an issue that's a real issue, but people don't, handle it in a humane way, is that despite the fact that Greg Abbott, sent these migrants in freezing cold temperatures to Kamala's house and all these places, there's really no underlying logic to it other than to virtue signal to the base. However, Republicans are still gonna, gain ground with this. Oftentimes when we see Latinos or different people shifting and voting for Republicans, and it's like, why would they vote for this? Why would they do this? Well, oftentimes it's because the Democratic Party simply isn't stepping in issues that make, whether it be migration issues, whether it be wage issues. Republican Party, they typically will have a chance to say, look what the Democrats did as Biden took that L with the railway unions. So it's the losses like that even though we can point at this and say this was callous, this made no sense, Republicans are still going to be able to gain ground with this. But also a bigger point is that this is how powerful culture is. This is how powerful rhetoric is, because Greg Abbott, he's just virtue signaling to the base. But because Fox News and these right-wing outlets are constantly dehumanizing migrants, this is what they want to see. So, it's just really a sick cycle, but the Democrats aren't stepping up sufficiently to do anything about it.
Yeah, it's a strong point, because you just see the effectiveness of the dehumanization of these migrants. It happens all the time. I replied to a very heartless tweet from Tommy Lahren, who I've sparred with and debated many times in the past, who just simply wrote, "You gotta love this. What a Christmas gift for the vice president. Send more." I mean, like they're literally packages and not human beings. Truly disgusting. And we haven't seen the last of it. Thankfully, there are people with a heart on the other side that were able to receive them, give them shelter, give them some warmth, give them some medical attention. And we'll see, hopefully this comes to a head, at least to the end result, that we might be able to actually pass some meaningful reform finally in this country. That would be worthwhile.